I'm so excited to share our project today. It's time for another Makers with Heart Mystery Envelope Challenge. And Katie Weeks was the one that sent us all of our goodies this time. So I'm excited to show you what I created, but I'm also excited to see what everybody else did. You can follow along with all of their videos and what they did. There will be a playlist plus the individual links in my description. Show you what we got in our envelope. Katie sent this beautiful card, which was fun. And then she sent these instructions, and I'll tell you what her guidelines are. Some enamel dots in black and white. This is the scallop note card set that it's funny, she sent it out to everybody and we all had ideas, and then we found out that it went on unavailable, sold out. So we all kind of changed our ideas. So there was 2 pieces of 4x6 paper as well, and then the belly band for the note card set, and a couple other pieces of paper. So I'm starting with this photo. I really scratched my head. I was going to do something else different until the note card, scallop note card thin cut became unavailable. But then I found this photo, and in Katie's guidelines, you can add black and white cardstock plus one other cardstock color. So based on my photo, I picked the color Holiday Red, and then I did some Cricut cutting, and I cut some webs for Halloween, and I cut this, it's kind of a photo mat web, and I thought maybe I would use that. I'm trying to do more of layering my papers, so getting some practice out of that, and I cut some note card edges. And then me, I love my flowers, and so I always think of a skunk and I think of Flower from Bambi. So for me, I had to have some flowers on my Halloween skunk costume. So here I matted the photo in black and then again in a bigger piece of the candy apple red, and I decided that that was going to be my accent color throughout. So I found in an old stamp set, in fact, that's all I'm using is old Halloween stamp sets, this Wash Your Cares Away. And it's kind of a funny title. That's what I'm going to use as my title, because if you have dealt with animals and skunks at all, you know that tomato juice is suggested to take out the smell of skunk from the fur of any animal that's been sprayed. So that's why we went as a couple costume, and that was it. So here I'm playing with the papers that Katie sent us, and like I said, these were 4x6 pieces from the Sweetest Honey pack. And this honeycomb piece, I actually tore it in half right away. I didn't even think about it. I decided I wasn't gonna stress about it. I was just gonna go for it. And then I thought this cobweb down in the bottom would work, or cobweb or spider web, I should call it, since it's Halloween. And again, I'm trying to layer in this photo mat spider web, and I will move the title around. Oh, I did cut some of these torn notebook pages, and all of these cuts are from the art booking image set, and I thought that the photo mat cobweb was just too much. So then this belly band, I cut it in half, and I'm trying to get it so that it will bridge across, and I realized that I can't have one side over top of the gray honeycomb paper and one side underneath. That definitely doesn't make the optical illusion that it goes all the way across. So here I'm kind of playing with the placement of that to see if I can stretch it, and now I can get it underneath those on both sides. And I'm liking the scalloped edge under the photo. I think that kind of is working. Visually, I'm just trying to figure out where I want my title. I'm hoping that people will understand the Wash Your Cares Away reference to the tomato juice. I was seeing if that small piece of the paper would work for anything. This whisk is representative of the some of the people that were there in costumes. A lot of them were engineers and men, and one of the guys literally dressed as a full-size whisk. In fact, the whisk part of it went from his waist all the way up over his head. It was really cute. So you saw the flowers that I cut earlier. Well, here I'm going to show you how I ink them and shape them. And these 7 pieces, actually 8 if you count the circle, are all for one flower. So here I grabbed the paprika ink, and I'm just going to add some of that to the outside edges of the holiday red cardstock flower pieces. And I chose paprika because it has that orange cast to it, but it also has that kind of burnt orange, and I thought that would be great for these fall like mum flower. That's the kind of look that I'm going with here. So I just ink the petals of those. You can see I use a blender brush, and I use quite a bit of ink on these edges. And then for the center of the flower, I'm going to use the mocha color, again with a different blender brush. And you can't really see it because I have my fingers covering it, but each of my blender brushes I've wrapped with some embroidery thread so that I know what color family to use for each ink. So this one has a brown thread on it, and I have gray and yellow, and the first one had orange. So I just have a set of brushes that I can use for color families. So now I have the petals, or the different layers of the mum done. And to do the center portion, these were all part of the Cricut cut. I'm just taking my score tool and rubbing it into the lemonade ink pad so that they turn yellow, because we weren't allowed to add any other color cardstock. Katie said black, white, and one other color. So my one other color is my candy apple. I was going to say red apple, but my candy apple. So I had to use my ink to get any other colors on this layout. So here again, I'm taking my scoring tool and curving the edges of the outside petals. And then I will take my embossing stylus and roll up the centers of the other layers of petals on this. I'm going to call it a mum. And for the yellow that goes in the center, I'm just kind of pushing it down into that foam mat to make it be a crimp. And I'll layer these up, smallest to largest. And there's not a lot of difference in the sizes, but normally you can kind of tell which goes where because the petals themselves are thinner or thicker. And to put these together, I literally just add glue and just layer them one on top of the other. I'll add the center base that I already put together in here, and I'll press it down. It's going to go ahead and give the flower a little bit more shape to it. And I did more of those off screen. I think there was a total of 9 flowers that I cut at once with all the 7 layers. And then I'm going to take the other little band that she sent. And I don't know if that was just an extra little piece that she sent in. I know it doesn't have any stitching on it, so it's not like it's gone through a thin cut or, a die. So it was just an extra piece that Katie threw in for us. So I'm going to use that as a kind of an anchor to hold the title for this page. And then I felt like I needed some more yellow because I have yellow for the centers of the flowers, and there's yellow for the label on the Campbell Soup costume. And by the way, I made that costume out of like foam that you use for cushions, and we had a part of our deck that we were taking out, and so I laid out this foam and I literally just painted it with acrylic or latex house paint, and it was heavy because of so many coats to change the color of the foam, but my husband loved it, so it all worked out. So here I grabbed a whole bunch of stars, again from Halloween sets and old retired stamps. I love digging into my stash and looking at what images that I have so that I can kind of justify those purchases that I made years ago, or over the years I should say. So here I'm speeding things up a little bit, just random stamping these stars. I didn't figure you needed to watch me do that again. I needed to add the balance of the solid stars with what I call like the school outline stars. And I really like just how the stars cascade from one side to the other. The flowers are also kind of bringing your eye right down through the photo. I've glued everything down at this point. And then, well, I didn't glue the flowers down, but I've glued all the other stuff down. And then I pulled this old stamp set, again from Art Booking, and it has this notebook stamp in it, and I didn't want the line on the edge of the notebook paper. I just wanted the lines for journaling. So I tacked down, as you saw, this piece of scrap paper just to kind of act as a mask. So now I'm going to stamp those lines on there, and I now have a spot to journal. And because yellow isn't too dark of a color, I just wrote my journaling right over that. I wanted to show you that to bridge the gap to get the black to go all the way across on top of the hexagon or the honeycomb paper, I used a flower to camouflage that break. And I'm adding some foam tape here to one of the words. Again, these are all from Halloween stamps, and I just stamped them off and cut them down so that I would have some extra, I don't know, subtitles people call them, but just some extra words around the page to add interest. But I had to pop dot one side because with all the layers that were behind the photo, it was going to be uneven, and I like to have things kind of even when it's words or things like that. So now I'm taking all the rest of the embellishments that Katie sent us, and I used all the embellishments and all the paper except for one small strip. And she did say in her guides not to use any other embellishments unless we used everything that she sent us, and I didn't need any more. I was really happy with what I have. It was the perfect amount. Really pleased with how this turned out. Here's some close-ups of the project. They're a little blurry, I apologize for that, but you kind of get the idea of, I kept clean lines. I thought about using either a gray or the candy apple ink pad to ink the edges, but I thought that was just going to get a little too much, too muddy, and so I just kept it clean and simple. And I hope you really enjoyed that. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the other makers did with the same set of pieces parts. The hop, all of them are out today, so there is a playlist in my description. Be sure to go follow everybody and see what they made. Katie, you sent a great envelope. I'm looking forward to what Jessica's going to send us already. Have a great day. Blessings.